Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. This is the first of hopefully many weekly podcasts I'll be doing here on the channel. Appreciate everybody who's been supporting me. A lot of you have been asking if I do anything like this. The answer is yes. Once I did. There was a time where I was doing podcasts. A few here and there every week. Me and a friend of mine, and just logistically we couldn't work out recording in the same space really, so we dropped it. And so I wasn't going to do anything like this for really the foreseeable future. At the time I knew I wanted to, but the time was never seemed right. But now I've had a lot of people asking. They seem to like you seem to like my takes on a lot of things, my opinions on a lot of things. So, and I keep it pretty chill for the most part. So this is me just trying to take another whack at it. But so this will be the first episode. This podcast does not have a title yet. Me and my creative team, i.e., my wife, are busting out. So we've got some pretty cool names. So we're busting out down to like the last five. So hopefully next week we'll have a fresh logo, a name, and all this kind of stuff. But for right now, it's just Ray talking about nerdy stuff. So I appreciate you all joining me. This past week or so has been really interesting, like around the studio here in my art studio, as well as out there in the ether, in the nerd ether. So I guess the first thing I really want to talk about was all the delays that are happening, like in the gaming world, basically. So we've got let's see, we got Final Fantasy VII there. We got Cyberpunk 2077. Of course, Last of Us 2 was delayed. It's been delayed for a few months, though. We've known that for a while. But basically, people are up in arms about, all the delays. I keep hearing like a lot of negativity, and people, my opinion on this is really people just need to chill. People really just need to chill, slow down, take a deep breath. We're going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to get these games. It's nothing to freak out and take to social media and attack people on or whatever. They are delayed because they want to get it right. And at first, when I saw that Remake was being delayed, it was a punch to the gut. I was like, oh man, but it's only 5 weeks. So, we can deal with 5 weeks. I'm not up in arms about that. I'm not too super upset about that. I think we have a lot to keep us busy. I have a lot to keep me busy, and I can imagine other people's daily lives. You have a lot to keep you busy. The gaming stuff, and I'm a big fan. I'll first say this. I've always been a huge fan of the gaming industry. Just how things work, how things are put together. The process that things go through, the creative process from the first brainstorming and planning stages up to pre-planning and then production and all these other aspects of art having to work together. You have your digital artists, your programmers, and you have your story writers, you have your scenario writers, you have artists coming together to create the key art and the pre-production art and the character designing and all this stuff. And then you have the musicians that come in and the composers, and then you have people that tie it all together. You have the producers overseeing every aspect of this operation. And it's the same thing with animation. You have all these people coming together. Then you have voice actors come in and lend their talent to the craft. So every possible imaginable creative person out there has, or creative field out there has a hand in producing all this stuff. So that, and I've always said video games are art. You can't rush art. You cannot rush art. If every artistic medium has a hand in producing a thing, how can you not call it art? You have musicians, you have actors, you have artists, you have all these other people, and you have digital artists, you have like programmers and program. Okay, look, so let me be the first to tell you, somebody who has like tried their hand at some programming and stuff in the past, that is an art. That is an art, absolutely. Coming from an artist, I will tell you, programming is an art. It really is, I've painted and drawn and written stories and stuff all my life. When you when I look at what those people do, I can absolutely 100% say that is art. That is absolutely art. I challenge anyone who would say differently. So video games are art. So I've always been a big fan of the video game industry. So when these delays happen, at first I'm like, I'm a little bummed, but I never feel like I go on the aggressive about anything. And you can't do that, especially these are creative people. They're putting their heart and soul into these projects. Whether you're a fan of said project or not, that doesn't matter. And people need to chill on that too, because I see a lot of people just coming out just rage hating things just to rage hate them, or just to be like all these other people like this. Like a lot of people like Cyberpunk 2077. I've seen people going after people that like that. I'm not looking forward to it, only because I can't play first person shooters. I can't play first person games. It makes me seasick. That being said, I would never knock people who are waiting for this game. You know what I mean? If you like something, you should be free to like it. Especially as long as it's not hurting anybody. But these people just come out and rage hate on things just because other people like it, and that's what this delay stuff has brought out. It's almost like this team against this team. And yes, I'm talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake fans and Cyberpunk 2077 fans. Two things that have not even come out and seen the light of day yet. People are already going at each other's throat. It's not a team competition. This is not us versus them. This is one industry. This is one creative art form. And you're turning it into a negative slugfest. Y'all need to cool that shit right now. Y'all need to cool it. Everybody doing that needs to cool it. Now, I don't care what your opinion is on that or whatever. You don't need to attack other people for that kind of thing. And you certainly don't need to go on the attack on these companies. Like people that are coming out and saying things like, oh, this is the end of Square Enix. This is the end of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Mark my words. You sound like a fool. You sound like a total fool, because everybody knows that ain't the case. That's you letting your rageful emotions come out without checking yourself. People need to check themselves a little more these days, I've been noticing, especially since I've been running a YouTube channel full speed these days. A lot of people, they don't have that gear where they just, okay, is this me being emotional, or is this how I really feel and the world needs to hear it? A lot of times that ain't the case. A lot of times you're just being emotional and the rest of the world doesn't need to hear that negativity, So, that being said, that's my take and my piece on that. I think anything that injects negativity out there, people don't need it. People don't need it, especially with things like video games. This is an art form that's supposed to make us all happy. It's supposed to make us feel good and get us out of our world, get us out of the garbage world that's out there. This is our escapism. This is how we're supposed to escape those things. And these creators create these experiences with that key element in mind. They want to pull you out of your 9-to-5 reality, and they want to supplant you into this world that you can enjoy. And that's why so many different games speak to so many different people. I'm not an FPS first-person shooter guy, A, because I can't play them physically because I get sick. I need a puke bucket next to me if I'm going to play like Modern Warfare or something. And B, everybody's idea of getting out of this reality is different. Some of us like to play those military games. Some of us like to just do sim games. Sim games are popular. Not my cup of tea, but it's if you enjoy it, that's awesome, man. I'm glad you enjoy it. I will never knock somebody for enjoying a certain genre if it's not my cup of tea. It just ain't. And sometimes you want to traipse through a field and grind and kill monsters that aren't real and level yourself up and gain new abilities and swap all the garbage you picked up in the field to a shop for coin and go, that's my favorite type of game. You know what I mean? So with the delays, just, let's just all take an ounce of chill. Let's all take an ounce of chill, sit back and enjoy what is there now. Because there is a table full of food right now for us to enjoy until these games come out. So we've got a lot going on right now. So it's delays happen. They're happening because the companies want to put out finished games. We've complained for years now that people aren't putting out finished games, they're putting out games unfinished and then making the DLC and stuff to finish the game. I'm chief among those people. I complain about that all the time. There was a period where I slipped out of gaming just because I was like, this is how the industry is now. It's like the middle of the PlayStation 3 life cycle. I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I got tired of buying games that weren't done, And I think it started around, I want to say it started around, it wasn't this game, but it was about the time I started playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I think on PS3, or maybe it was Assassin's Creed 3. Yeah, it was the one with Connor, Assassin's Creed 3. It was about that time. I forget what I was playing, but there was a bunch of games coming out that were just unfinished, and you had to buy season passes. And I was like, I'm done. You're selling me a $60. It's supposed to be a $60 game, but it's really an $80 or $90 game because I have to buy the season pass to have the finished game. So I got out on that. I didn't come in until midway through the PS4. Honestly, I had stopped gaming, but I had a lot of catch up to do. So I'm chief among those people that complain about that type of thing. And at the end of the day, these companies are delaying these games because they were, well, we thought this was our projection. This is our projection now. So I think you look at Final Fantasy VII Remake, they were like, look, this is where we want it right now. Let's add some more polish. Let's do some other things. I am in the camp that thinks the data mining leaks had something to do with that. I might be wrong on that. It may have nothing to do with that. Maybe they were just not going to make their window. Delay it 5 weeks, fine. I think in my take, Cyberpunk looks at it's like, okay, we're coming out after Resident Evil 3 and Final Fantasy 7. We're coming out at the tail end of that now. Let's go to September. It wasn't a retreat. It was a calculated move, I think, by CD Projekt Red. They're like, let's move to September. We can own September. We will absolutely own September. If there's a game coming out in September that you like, I'm not knocking on your game, but let's face it. Cyberpunk comes out in September, it's going to own the NPDs in September. That's just how it is. That gives them 5 more months to put more polish on the game to get a more finished game out there, a more finished Night City experience for everybody who's looking forward to that, and it's a win-win. So if I'm looking at this thinking, yeah, it sucks that you got to wait a little bit longer, but sometimes in life you got to wait on things. You know what I mean? Especially, I know they promised a certain date or whatever, but that's life. That's life. Sometimes you have to wait. That's the hard reality of it. You're going to get it. You're going to get this game. You're going to get this game in September, and we're going to get Final Fantasy VII Remake on April 10th. I think that will be the final date. I think the game is done. I think they just want to put more polish and tweak more things, but I think it's done. So on delays, I'm fine waiting. I think people that are coming out and being negative about this stuff, you take an ounce of chill on that because it's not making things any better. I get you have to get that emotion out, but talk to your friends, go out to dinner, have some dinner with some like-minded people and be like, yeah, this sucks, man. And get it out. You don't need to put it out there into the cyber world. You know what I mean? Face-to-face conversations, that's what those are for. You know what I mean? Yeah, this sucks, man. Blah blah blah. And then that's how you get that out. You don't dump it online for the world to see, because then people that have never met you in person think you're just a mean, angry person all the time. Hey, I don't think anybody's truly like that. I think that's the personification that people put out there when things like this happen. So, anyway, that's enough about delays. I think the games are going to come out. They're going to be better when they hit the store shelves. They're going to be better when they hit your unlock at midnight if you've got it digitally pre-ordered. So they're just going to be better. So right now, I'm currently playing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Let me tell you what. This game puts a smile on my face. This game puts a huge smile on my face when I'm playing it. It is the Dragon Ball Z game that we fans, the Dragon Ball Z fans, have wanted, or Dragon Ball fans, period, have been wanting for a long time. It is just this crazy ride through the story that you already know, and they fill in little gaps with little in-between things. There's intermissions between major sagas where you can run around and do side missions and do cleanup work and go find things and sell things and make more zenny, and that's the money in Dragon Ball. If you don't know, it's zenny. That's their currency. But I've seen people complaining. I've seen reviews on the game. I saw one review, and again, I can't cite this review. I want to say it might be Kotaku. They were like, "This is just a terrible game. It's a bad game." They were ragging on it, and the person, I don't know. And I've seen some other people online just talking about it, and the consensus I get, and this is important, is that these people aren't Dragon Ball fans. This game right here was made for Dragon Ball fans. If you don't know Dragon Ball and you want to play it, that's perfectly great. That's perfectly great. If you go in like that, though, it's not Skyrim. Don't go in expecting Skyrim or The Witcher or something like that, because you ain't getting that. You are not getting. That is not the game they made. That is not the game they made. They made a fun game to where if you know the characters and you know their interactions and things like that, it will help you play. Like, okay, so Dragon Ball Z Kakarot has this thing called community boards. You can unlock different community boards which help you with different aspects of the game, like leveling or training or fighting or even cooking and building things. To know who would best go on that community board, they give you little rankings for each little tab, character tab that you get. They're called soul emblems. When you see those, it shows you the rankings. But if you've watched the show, you have a good idea of which board people need to go on. Bulma's going to go in the board geared to making things. You know, you're going to have like Piccolo and Vegeta. They're going to go on the Z Fighter board. I mean, you're going to have all these other, and like Kami and Popo and, or not so much Kami, but Popo and King Yema and all these King Kai. They're all going to go on like the Gods board, you know, so it helps to know Dragon Ball when you're playing this game. I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. Have been since I first saw it, probably back in 1999, I think it was. When I first saw Dragon Ball, I had just gone off to, I had just started college. And I think I was probably 18. And I saw Dragon Ball for the first time. I was like, what is this? You know, this is awesome, you know. And, oh, this is Dragon Ball Z. This is Dragon Ball, and this is, you know, this is Dragon Ball GT, but let's not talk about that, you know. So, but yeah, I've been a fan since I first saw it. I think I came in on the Frieza saga is what I first saw. Then I went back and watched the beginning of it. And then Funimation started putting out the post-Frieza saga stuff. So that was a good time. This game has been so fun. I've had nothing but fun with this game. Every time I log in on Twitch to play it, I'm just like, I just got this big smile on my face. I'm like, you all, I'm loving this game. It's my first, every time I turn the PS4 on and this game screen comes up and the continue screen comes on, I just get a big smile on my face. I'm like, man, let's get it, let's go. I'm getting ready to fight the Ginyu Force on my game. That's how far I've gotten. But I've been taking my time and enjoying everything the game has to offer. Just like eating it up, you know. Learning how to properly cook and how to properly up your stats and, you know, where to fight, who to fight, when to fight, who to put on your boards, you know, how I want my characters to play, you know, that kind of thing. And you play as different characters. You start as Goku, of course, but you play a lot as Gohan. You play a lot as Gohan in the early part of the game. Like you play as Piccolo for a little bit, but then you play, like Gohan's doing his training. He's out in the wilderness doing survival training with Piccolo watching over. And then, of course, when you go to fight the Saiyans, you're fighting as Gohan. And then, of course, you fight as Goku when you're fighting Vegeta and Nappa. But then after Goku's in the ICU, after his fight, you're back to playing as Gohan. So the earlier part of the game, you play as Gohan a whole lot. And I get the feeling that you're going to play as Gohan a whole lot in this game. Like, all the key art and everything shows Goku. But if you think about the show, Goku's dead a lot. Like, Goku is dead or incapacitated a whole lot. So I think it gives you the opportunity to play as other characters. Like right now on Namek, I'm getting run around play as Vegeta. Playing as Gohan for a while and struggling with some, not struggling, but, you know, having a harder time with some fights. So you play as Vegeta and you're dropping bombs for 1,000, 1,500 points where you were just doing 300 or 400 points of damage with Gohan. You really feel the difference in power. Like you feel that power immediately from one jump and then going back to Gohan and having to refigure how you want to fight. You have to use the Masenko beam a lot. I do anyway. Get in, timing's right. Timing has to be on point in this game. But when you fight as Vegeta, you can run up and just punch somebody in the mouth and kill them. That's pretty much, you know. And then you have people, you have support characters, you know, that they can come in. You can set your support characters. You can set your super abilities. You can level up your different abilities, and certain abilities unlock at certain points in the story, of course. So you'll try to highlight an ability. It'll say can't unlock until this chapter, and it's super well done in my opinion. As a Dragon Ball fan, this game was made for Dragon Ball fans, and they did a superb job with it. I have nothing to complain about. The only thing I complain about, a little nitpick, is the map. The map really throws me off. I'm used to playing games where the map will rotate depending on your trajectory, your character's trajectory. This game doesn't do that. The map doesn't move. And the pointer is so small, the icon is so small, you have to really pay attention. You don't really know exactly where they're going until the thing starts to move. Like, it's a triangle, and sometimes it can be hard to see where that's at. So I have to go to the big map screen a lot to kind of get an idea of where I'm at. So, but that's my only nitpick. I love how they've done, like, how you use your items in battle, like the different rewards for doing. They really reward you well for doing side quests. Like expensive items, you can get a ton of them just by doing the Turtle House training with Master Roshi. I've been doing a lot of that. I didn't realize that's what I was doing, though. I was doing a lot of accomplishments and not realizing what I was getting. And so I went and talked to Master Roshi, and it was like 2 minutes of just scrolling through accomplishments and getting all these things. So I went from having like 2 or 3 potions, I forget what they're called in the game, 2 or 3 low to mid-level potions, to having like 30 or 40 of each. And I was like, oh, God, this game just got a lot easier. Because I did the side quests, because I did the Turtle House training, and I didn't know I was doing it. But side quests are key in this game, which is cool for me because I'm a side quest junkie. I love to grind. I love to grind when I'm playing these RPGs, open world RPGs. That's my thing. Y'all have heard me talk about that before. So this game is right in my wheelhouse. I'm really enjoying it. It's not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine, because I think a lot of people that are complaining about the game probably weren't Dragon Ball fans, because, again, I feel like this game, that's who this game was made for. So anyway, I think one of the other big things I want to talk about this week, and this first podcast like a trial for me, trial run. So my transitions are going to be much better. I'm going to listen to this podcast probably 4 or 5 times, figure out how I can transition better. And there's going to be all bells and whistles I'm working on right now. But this first one, I just wanted to get out there, stretch my legs a little bit, get back into doing this, talking to you all. And but next week's you're going to hear like a major difference. So the next thing I want to talk about is, there's not a lot of news I want to talk about this week, because I honestly kind of talked about that with the delays. One thing, though, and this podcast will cover mainly like video game news, industry news, and like, video game things that are happening, and animation and stuff like that, because those are the big things I'm into. Those are the big things that really push me to work on the things that I work on, basically. They announced Castlevania, well, they released a Castlevania Season 3 key art image today, or not today, this past week on Twitter. It's kind of quietly started circulating, making the rounds, but it was an official piece of artwork. The Castlevania, I think the Castlevania Netflix account, or whichever it was, actually had it as their header image. So it doesn't get much more official than that, I would think. So basically it shows 3 women with Carmilla from Season 2, and they're out in front of this big castle. And I did a video on that. You can check it out if you want to. But 2 of the women are ambiguous. I'm not really sure who they are. But I really feel the one right next to Carmilla, I really feel dead certain that is Elizabeth Bartley from Castlevania Bloodlines. I really do. If you're not familiar with Castlevania Bloodlines, it is a great game on Sega Genesis. You should definitely go play it. It introduces Eric Lacarde and John Morris. They are the 2 protagonists. I loved using Eric in the game because he had the spear, and you could vault. You could pole vault with the spear. Excuse me. I'm still coughing up stuff from when I was sick, so I apologize. You could pole vault to different places, and you could get the different levels and different places in the level and progress through the game differently with the different characters because they can reach different areas, which I thought that was fascinating. At the time when I was playing that game when I was a kid, there weren't a lot of games that did that, so I think that may have been the first game I played that did that, except for maybe Super Mario World. You could with the keys and warp zones, of course. But as far as like a game like Castlevania, this is the first game I can remember where I could do that. But yeah, so that's a fun game. Elizabeth Bartley is the main villain in that game, and basically she's the niece of Count Dracula. She's trying to resurrect him. Basically, she was killed in the late 1400s, resurrected in the early 1900s accidentally by a witch doing some kind of ceremony, and basically she goes on a mission to resurrect her uncle Count Dracula, and that's the resurrection storyline for that game. But she's actually responsible for the outbreak of World War One in the storyline of the game. She has a prime minister or something like that. I don't remember. It's like a president or a prime minister of Austria assassinated or something like that. And the domino effect starts World War One. I can't remember exactly how it works. But yeah, I think that's her next to Carmilla. A couple of reasons I say that is because if you look right here, and I talked about this in the video, but I'll talk about it again. Like, she looks like a female Dracula. Like, if you were to gender swap Dracula in the Castlevania character design, this is probably what he looks like, if not close. You know what I mean? Okay, so look at this. This is what I was talking about in that video. A lot of people are like, well, what are you talking about? Look at the saturation, the tone changes in the cloak. There's three tone changes here in the cloak, and they're not like rough and rugged. They're not edgy. They're like saturated. They almost look like they're painted on, you know, right here. This actually reminds me a lot of like Record of Lodoss War, and my God, if you're going for some anime artwork, you cannot go wrong with Record of Lodoss War as an inspiration. That is some of the most beautiful, most gorgeous mid-90s anime artwork you will ever find. That show was amazing. And excuse me, get a little sip. I feel like that's kind of what this is channeling a little bit. I love it. I think she's amazing. She looks amazing. She looks like Dracula. I think this is Elizabeth Bartley before she's killed and then needs to be resurrected in the early 1900s. I think this is her original life run, basically. Her original run through life here. These other two could be anybody. I kind of said who I think these are in the video, but you can look at these right here, and I think I'm on point. I think this is going to be Elizabeth Bartley. I think they want to get some more female characters in there, especially antagonists. I think that's cool. This is definitely a nice femme fatale quartet if it's who I think it is. But we shall see if I'm right on that or not. But Castlevania Season 3 has a lot of promise. There's a lot of different storylines they could go to, and a lot of different roads the story can go. You know, Dracula's out of the picture for right now. Of course, we know he comes back all the time. But Hector has got to become a G in this. If you play Castlevania Curse of Darkness, which I can't gush on that game enough, I love that game. I'm a big Castlevania fan. Of course, I never played the handhelds. I never had a Nintendo DS. I never played them. So people swear by those Mirror of Fate. Not Mirror of Fate, but there's a couple of them that people just swear by. But yeah, Castlevania Curse of Darkness is like awesome. It's like definitely my top 5 Castlevania games. Anyway, Hector in that game is like a very confident, self-assured former like Devil Forge master. You know what I mean? And he gets the job. He's the kind of guy that goes in and gets the job done. He left Dracula's inner circle and just tried to lead normal life, tried to forsake all of his evil powers and stuff like that. So he is a great character, and he is a boss. Like, he is strong, confident, assertive, and I hope we start seeing more of that in this season, because seeing him drug around like a little bitch didn't sit well with me. It didn't, man. And not in like a way that it's me as a fan, like, okay, I want to see him get his comeuppance. No, I was pissed. I was like, how can you just dog on this character like that? He's being drug around by a chain. I get it. He's younger, more naive. You can kind of see he's starting to not want to do that anymore. He's not wanting to have that life anymore. But now, this season, he's going to be forced into that life, or he's going to be into the throes of that life, you know? So, hopefully we start to see more of the Curse of Darkness Hector come out, because this This season 2 drew a lot from Curse of Darkness. For people that say Curse of Darkness isn't one of the best Castlevania games, season 2 took a lot from it. All the Devil Forge Master stuff, Isaac, Hector, I hope we finally get to see Death, maybe toward the end of the season, and his pact, maybe with Dracula. Maybe that's how Dracula comes back. Maybe Death swings the doors of the underworld open and Dracula comes back, or something like that, And please, 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 can we get Trevor Belmont this season? We have not had Trevor Belmont yet. I want you all to know that. We haven't had Trevor Belmont. We've had Jack Sparrow with a whip, quippy one-liners, some cool moves, but we have not seen Trevor Belmont. Get that right. Let's get that right this season. No reason why we can't do that. So, I loved him in the first 4 episodes of, I call it season 1A and 1B with Castlevania. You give 4 episodes, you give me 4 episodes, I'm not calling that a season. That's the first 3. Okay, so one season of American animation is 12 or 13 episodes. Standard, okay? So we've gotten 4, we've gotten 8. What I think happened is Netflix is like, we don't know. Castlevania, we're not really sure, Okay, let's greenlight 4 episodes and see how it does. The day it debuted, they were like, okay, go ahead and basically make the rest of season 1, but they called it season 1 and season 2. So I'm calling it season 1A and 1B. So anyway, I know it's not the official way of saying it, but if you look at the story arc, it's 1 season. If you look at 1 and 2, it's 1 season. The story arc, the way it progresses. So in the first 4 episodes, I thought Trevor is a good starting point for him. I think it was the right starting point for him. I loved it. And you saw the character progression happening by the time him and Sypha and Alucard walked out of the catacombs. Season 2, he reverts. Like, he just goes back to just being wisecracking, pirate without a ship kind of guy. You know what I mean? If you want a pirate, you had one. His name's called Grant Dynasty. And you decided to not put him in the series. So that's a bunch of crap. But anyway, fix Trevor, fix Hector, I'm good. I think these ladies look great. Carmilla was an excellent character in season 2. She was exactly what I thought she might be. Knowing Dracula's way stronger than her, she had to manipulate the situation, get him out of the way so she could be the top ranking, kind of most powerful vampire. I thought that was very well done. Everything in this series is handled great, except for your main character. I don't understand why that is. Anyway, I hope they fix it. Because if they don't fix it in season 3, I don't know. I mean, I'll still watch them, but I'm not going to be as excited for them. So fix Trevor in season 3. If he's even in season 3, he may not be. I know Adi Shankar is like really wanting to get to Symphony of the Night. I think he's hinted at that on Twitter that he really wants to get to Symphony of the Night. But, the Symphony of the Night, in my opinion, is not the best Castlevania game. Even not the best story. I mean, there's barely any story in it. You're basically just running through the game, which is fine. It's fun. It's great. But a lot of the later story-driven Castlevania games, like Curse of Darkness, Lament of Innocence wasn't that great of a game, but I thought the story was amazing. I thought the story was fantastic. Just the gameplay was very repetitive. It wasn't very imaginative, but anyway, enough about that. I'm looking forward to season 3. I can't wait to see what they do with it. It's going to be great. Hopefully it's going to be great. Hopefully they fix our main characters. I definitely want to see Hector moving more into the Curse of Darkness direction by the end of this season. I get what they're doing. I just didn't like seeing that character treated that way. But I guess he's got to get there. Maybe this is the putting him through the forge. Bringing a powerful sword out of a lump of iron. So anyway, a lump of steel. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm going to wrap it up this week. This first podcast here. We'll wrap it up with something I've been watching. So as you all know, I'm a big fan. Well, if maybe you don't know, but if you follow my YouTube channel, you follow me on Twitter and stuff like that, I'm a huge fan of like retro anime, especially that era from about 1995, 1996 up to about 2001 or 2. That is, to me, just the golden age of that genre. You know, you had all kinds of amazing stories coming out. You had Outlaw Star, you had Trigun, you had Cowboy Bebop, you had, of course, the Dragon Ball Z was pretty much over at that point. GT, I think, ended in 97 or 98, but Z ended in like 95 or 96, I can't remember. And then you had Full Metal Alchemist in that time. You had the Slayers Tribe, Fushigi Yugi, which is one of my top all-time, Tenchi Muyo. The list goes on. Gundam Wing, a couple of Gundam series that were out in that time. Berserk, Bastard, Record of Lodoss War. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on, you know. But what I've been watching this week is the first Tenchi Muyo movie, Tenchi Muyo in Love. If you have never seen this movie, if you're even curious about it, I would suggest doing it. You can go on PSN right now. That's why I bought mine on PSN. I think Funimation has the rights to all the Tenchi, all the old Geneon Pioneer stuff. I think Funimation has the rights to all of that now. Go pick it, rent it on PlayStation for like $3 or buy it. I think you can buy it for like $10-11. This is a great movie. Like, if you're familiar with the Tenchi OVA series characters, I want to take it back. Kyone's in this, so it's the Tenchi universe kind of timeline, but this is a great story. It's a time travel story, basically. And it's Tenchi Masaki, him and his ladies. They have to go back in time because he's being erased. This intergalactic criminal named Kane. By the way, one of the greatest intros to an anime movie I've ever seen. Okay, so basically, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's 5 minutes of a dude getting out of prison and just wrecking this whole quadrant of this galaxy. You know what I mean? It's so over the top. It's so OP. It's like, it's insane. But I've been watching this week. This is my throwback this week. I encourage you all to watch it. The other Tenchi Muyo movies are decent to okay. But this one is great. This is a great movie. It goes into, if you've watched Tenchi Muyo, his mother's not around anymore. His grandfather was Tenchi's mother's father. So that's the lineage a little bit. And it shows his mother and his father getting together and meeting each other and falling in love. And Tenchi finally getting to say goodbye to his mom, basically. It's really good. It's so good. I love it. It's up there with me. The animation still holds up. The battle scenes are great. The science fiction, the comedy. It's everything you would expect from Tenchi Muyo amplified in a movie. It's a great way to spend like an hour and a half, I think it is. Great way to spend an hour and a half of your day. I would highly recommend, if you haven't seen this movie, go watch it. If you have seen it, go watch it again. It's worth it. Like, I'm working on an animated pilot for my graphic novel Aurora right now, and my batteries are getting a little burned out. So I've got a list of things I'll watch when I'm approaching burnout on my creative stuff, and this is in my list. So I watched it this week, and I was like, you know what? Let's get back to work. It reignited my fire, So anyway, I can't express enough how much I love this movie. So anyway, I am going to leave you all with that little tidbit. Also, let you all know, if you do not follow me on Twitter, at Kaufman20XX, at Kaufman20XX, as well on Instagram, 20XX. You can follow me on there. COFFMAN 20XX, both Instagram and Twitter, same handle. YouTube, if you're not following me on YouTube, well, you're watching this, so I guess you found me somehow. It is youtube.com/Ray Kaufman. If you want to watch me stream Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, I'm going to stream that until it's done, probably. It is twitch.tv/Ray Kaufman, RayCoffman. You can catch me there. This podcast will upload to my Patreon on Mondays. So everybody will get early access to it on Mondays. And then on Wednesdays, it will upload to YouTube in the afternoon. So usually around 3 or 4, probably. That's my scheduled goal right now. So hope you all enjoyed it. This was a lot of fun for me. Just talking to you all, doing this kind of format. Just real laid back, just talking about kind of some of the things that are happening, some of the things I'm watching, some of the things I'm into. And I'm going to start adding like little sections where, I give you all shout outs. But this is the first trial run. I'm going to listen to this one back a couple of times and see what I want to tweak, see what I want to add, see what I want to take out, that kind of stuff. So patreon.com/Ray Kaufman is the place you can go. For just $1 a month, you can support me on there. You can get early access to videos, instant access to my Patreon timeline where I share a lot of stuff that I don't share with other people, or on social media. That's kind of like my underground social media. It's my patreon.com. That's how I like to handle that. So yeah, just for $1 a month, you get access to that stuff. As you go up on up the tiers, you get different access to some of my writings, some of my art. You can even have art sent to you every month, like a lot of my patrons choose to do. So check that out, patreon.com/Ray Kaufman, and I will leave it at that. I hope you all have a great week. I hope you all have fun. Try to stay away from the negativity on Twitter and stuff like that. I think that's kind of hurting fandom a lot right now. That's my own personal opinion, If that's not your opinion, everybody's entitled to theirs. That's mine. I think there's a lot of negativity out there. I think we need to treat each other right and treat each other good. At the end of the day, this stuff that we're talking about, this stuff that we like, it's meant to be enjoyed. It's made, the reason it's made is to make your life better, to make you happier, to put you in a happier place, to entertain you. That's why this stuff is made. This stuff isn't made so we can go online and attack each other on whose thing is better or this ship or that ship or you know what I hate that term, by the way. I don't know, maybe it's just the old bastard in me, but just enjoy this stuff. That's what it's there for. It's meant for you to enjoy it. So anyway, I'm going to leave you all with that. Do with it what you will. Have a great week. Treat each other real good and keep rocking. I will catch you all in the next video or the next podcast or the next stream or the next whatever you all see from me. The next book, the next piece of art, whatever. I'm doing a lot of things right now. So you all keep rocking. Have a great week, and I will see you all in the next one. Y'all take care.